was I supposed to do now? Hi, my name is Phoebe. Unlike my classmates who slept, ate, and even went to the shower with their phones, over the past 3 years, I hadn't posted a single photo, liked a single post, or even called a friend to discuss a new movie because I didn't watch movies. I lived in a world that was different from what you're used to. Press like, subscribe to the channel, and listen to my story. My parents were businessmen. Well, they used to be businessmen. When I was very young, I would drive my own small car to our personal cinema to watch my favorite cartoons. Why were we so rich? Well, I found out much later that my parents had earned a ton of money, cutting down forests and doing some not quite legal real estate. Not cool, right? Eco-activists thought so too and sued my parents, who didn't take them seriously. That's how it all began. The court imposed such a huge fine on my parents that they could not pay it. Can you imagine? We lost everything. Our cars, house, computers, and all my toys. It would have been easier if we had some relatives or friends left, but my family had nowhere to go. Long story short, we found ourselves on the street.
Mom? Dad? What happened?
Everything's gonna be okay, sweetie. My parents started looking for a place we could spend the night for free at and found a forest community. There were some people who lived in a settlement in the forest, grew plants, and tried to lead the most environmentally friendly lifestyle possible. And yeah, none of them used phones because there was no signal anyway. I want to plant something else. It's so beautiful here. It took living there for a week for my parents to realize that they had been polluting nature for many years to earn their fortune and decided to atone for it. As for me, I gradually got used to a life without the internet or my phone. I can't say that I miss them much. One day, I was walking on the outskirts of the forest when I saw guys my own age. They were trying to destroy an anthill, so I decided to scare them away. Hey you! What are you doing here? I am a forest spirit, and you aren't welcome here. Get out. You're from the forest community, aren't you? I guess everyone who lives there really is crazy. That guy introduced himself as Mike and said that his father had bought the land we were on and would soon build a shopping center there. Nonsense! I didn't believe him and ran back to my family. However, it turned out that he was telling the truth. Our community was in complete chaos. Mike's father rented rooms in a hostel for the residents of our community. We were supposed to move out within a month so that the lodging and construction could begin. Calm down, my friends. I have a plan. Mom and Dad told everyone about the eco-activists who had bankrupted them a few years ago and suggested we turn to them for help. But in the meantime, we had to stay in the hostel. I was shocked when I saw the way people lived in the city. There were so many cars polluting the air and garbage. I especially hated the supermarkets. I got lost in a department with washing powders once. I'm not kidding. I even cried a little because I couldn't find my parents. Why were there so many powders anyway? Couldn't they wash their clothes with sand like normal people? Anyway, nobody worried about harming the environment at all. Why was there so much plastic everywhere? The windows of my new room overlooked a factory and a highway, so it was always noisy, and the air was terribly polluted. I couldn't fall asleep without hearing the chirping of grasshoppers that I was used to. The sirens and the roar of the engines kept me awake. Things at school were terrible as well. How was I supposed to know everyone had switched to using electronic textbooks? We kept getting quizzes in class, and we were supposed to use our smartphones for that, but I kept putting my hand up like an idiot. I also knew absolutely nothing about programming. It was all Greek to me. No, that's a bad comparison. I had a better chance of understanding Greek than coding. How do I turn on this thing? Wow, she's dense. The technology had advanced so much in 3 years that I could barely recognize it. Unlocking the phone with a fingerprint? Face ID? A few years ago, I hadn't even heard such words. Long story short, my classmates kept laughing at me and avoiding me. As if that wasn't enough, Mike, the son of a businessman who had decided to destroy our forest community, was my classmate. To my surprise, he immediately came up to me and apologized. He said it was his father's business, so it wasn't like he could do anything. If only I could save the forest, but talking to my father is useless. He just throws money at all his problems. He became my only friend. Awesome, right? Mike and I went for a walk after school, and he showed me an augmented reality game that everyone was playing lately. The player was supposed to look for different characters, catch them, and then take care of them. I was thrilled! Everything was going great, but then Mike started asking me strange questions out of the blue. Tell me, Phoebe, who are those eco-activists that bankrupted your family? I was a kid, so I don't remember much. One day, I introduced Mike to my parents. We drank tea we had grown ourselves and chatted about everything. Wow, I've never drunk such delicious tea. Thank you. It's better than the soda you drink. We were having fun until Mike brought up the trial and eco-activists again. My parents looked at each other gloomily, but told Mike about everything our family had gone through. It wasn't until the next day that I realized what a mistake I had made when I asked Mike over. Our forest community had a meeting and found out that Mike's dad had dealt with those eco-activists. He'd somehow figured out their strategy and got rid of them. I immediately realized that Mike had betrayed me and told his father everything he had learned from my parents. I decided never to talk to Mike again, but he started following me around and did everything he could to make me pay attention to him. But my loneliness didn't last long. Meet my new friends. Yes, these are flowers, but you've got to agree they're better company than people sometimes. Nobody ever took care of the school plants, so the poor things withered and died. But I knew how to take care of them, and I wasn't afraid of being called an oddball for it because, I was already called that. So my classmates' reaction surprised me. Hey, Phoebe! What do you want? Cool flowers. Could you put them in our classroom too? Please? Oh, sure. My oddities made me popular in my own way. The principal even suggested I start a club and tell the other students about sorting recyclables, electric cars, and global warming, and teach them to take care of plants. Can you imagine how excited I was? The club wasn't particularly popular until someone spread a rumor that I had lived in a forest for 3 years and fed on bark and beetles. Why did they find that weird? There are a lot of beetles that are actually very tasty. We didn't actually eat them, of course, but my classmates liked crazy stories, so I was all too happy to tell them. Whoa, tell us about the bear. Again? Oh well. One day, our community was attacked by a hungry bear. A lot of people think you're supposed to raise your arms and growl to scare the bear away if you meet one, but that's not true. Instead, you should pretend you're dead. Wow! Was anyone eaten? Everyone was so amazed by my past life that sometimes it seemed like I was from another planet. Thanks to my stories, the principal decided to organize a hike for everyone. We were supposed to go to the forest, make a fire, roast some marshmallows. I jumped for joy when I found out that everyone in school liked the idea. I could finally go back to the forest. But my joy didn't last long. My classmates came completely unprepared. They were wearing fashionable but uncomfortable clothes, sneakers, and heels. Of course, everyone immediately got their feet wet. Instead of sleeping bags, they brought inflatable mattresses that were ruined once they put them on the hard ground. There was no signal, so they couldn't Google which berry was safe to eat. I didn't expect the hike to be so stressful. Instead of nutritious food, everyone brought chips and sweets. It was little wonder that they soon ate all the snacks and got hungry. Oh, can we order pizza? There's no signal here. What do you mean? What are we gonna eat? Look, berries! What are you doing? They're poisonous! I'm still hungry. I'm going to try to catch some fish. With your bare hands? I doubt it will work. Our teacher fell and injured his leg almost immediately. I had to bandage it. While I was giving him first aid, my classmates decided to go for a swim, but some of them forgot that they could not swim. I was a lifeguard, a cook, and a nurse at the same time. Camping didn't seem fun anymore, and it was still only the evening. As I expected, the worst began at night. I was sleeping, exhausted, when my classmates woke me up. Mike went into the forest, and he's been gone for a long time. Every hour spent in the forest could cost him his life. Also, our teacher couldn't walk. Damn it! I immediately organized a search party. I divided everyone into groups and told them how to look for Mike and not get lost. We shout Mike's name and then wait a few seconds for an answer. After that, we do it again. Mike! The pizza's here! We wandered through the forest for several hours. I was getting desperate. A guy was missing because of me. Now, Mike's father would cut down the whole forest to find him. But that didn't matter at that moment. I prayed Mike would be found safe and sound. Luckily, we succeeded. Mike was sitting on a tree. Mike, it's okay. Get down. No. Why? I don't know how. I had to climb up to him. When I sat down on a branch next to him, Mike hugged me. Phoebe, I didn't tell my dad anything. I promise. I wanted to help you, honest. I even told everyone to join your club. Okay, Mike, I believe you. But how did you end up here? I wanted to play that game I told you about and was trying to find a signal. I'm going to delete it. I could have stayed here forever because of it. Oh, let's get down. I'll help you. It wasn't easy by any means, but Mike managed to get down. It was too dark to go back to the camp. The last thing we needed was for someone to get lost again. Besides, my classmates were so tired that some of them had fallen asleep right under the tree while waiting for Mike and me. I decided to make tents so that we could spend the night there. 3 years of living in the forest community had prepared me for everything life could throw at me. Except for programming classes, of course. In the morning, we came back to our camp and then to the city. I was telling my worried parents about everything that had happened on the hike when Mike's father knocked on our door. I was terrified. After all, it was my fault we had gone camping, and Mike had spent half a night on a tree. Phoebe, I've come to thank you for everything you've done. What? Mike told me you organized a search party to find him. Thanks to you and your knowledge, my son is alive and well. It may seem like nothing is more important to me than my money and business, but I actually live for my son. It turned out that Mike really hadn't betrayed me, and his father had known about the eco-activists because he used to be one of them. He was one of those people who had bankrupted my family a few years ago. He had then decided to betray his convictions for the sake of money because activism did not pay well. Mike's father wanted his son to have the best smartphones and computers, as well as the opportunity to go to a decent college. But now, I won't dare to destroy your forest community. It made you, Phoebe, the way you are. I have stopped the construction of the shopping center. Wow, I couldn't believe my ears! I had just been doing what I loved most, and it helped me get back my home. A few days later, the residents of our community came back to the forest, but I decided to keep going to school because that was the only way I could go to university and become an ecologist. All those adventures had happened to me for a reason. Now, I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Besides, the hike brought me closer to my classmates, and now I had a lot of friends. I also told Mike's father about my idea of an augmented reality game that would teach people to survive in the wild. And he happily agreed to invest money in it. He no longer needs to destroy nature to provide for his son. The app has become a hit among my classmates. Oh, by the way, Mike is my best friend again. Or maybe more than just a friend. That's my story. Would you be able to live without the internet for 3 years? Tell us in the comments down below.